Time for part two of the T-Rex installs. So I bought the T-Rex engine guards for the Goldwing. They were $239, about half the price of the Pinnacle highway bars. And in my opinion, I'm not a structural engineer, but in my opinion, they're a much higher quality. They feel heavy duty. They have replaceable parts on them. So that I feel like if I crash them, I can replace the parts that break much more cheaply or get scarred up. But here's the kicker for you. For an extra $210, you get luggage guards. What they call luggage guards are for your saddlebags. So they mount where your stock crash bars install on the bike, and they protect the saddlebags when you go over. Same design, heavy ass steel. They look really good. They're made in America, down in Texas. And they come with this plate that you can replace. So if you crash on this and you scratch this plate all up, you can replace just this plate and leave the bar alone. I know this sounds weird, but I am not paid by T-Rex to do this. I just like T-Rex products. I buy these products myself with my own money. I'm not sponsored. They don't give me free stuff. I'm just super excited because when I can install these, I will feel like I can get out and start doing some low-speed drills, which I absolutely love on the Tuono. And I can turn this bike over. I can be less worried about dropping this bike on its side because dropping this bike is expensive. So these will protect the saddlebags. The other ones protect the engines. I got to do something about the mirrors, probably Traction's mirror set. But anyway, I'm excited for this. So let's get these installed. All right, confession time. Normally when I do these videos, you're watching me do them for the first time. I don't run through and do them beforehand, so it looks like I know what I'm doing. You're watching me figure it out along with me. So I edit them so they look better, but that's really about it. I'm following the instructions just like you. I figure things out and I share the things I figured out that worked for me. I'm just a guy in a garage. But when I went in to edit this video before I was gonna post it, I realized it looked really, really hard. And man, these are a dead simple install. It is 2 bolts and a hex head. Literally, that's it. That's all it takes to actually install these things. So I thought I would explain why I had to do this. I put a Seaway hitch on here, and if you've not pulled these engine guards off before, there is a bolt that's supposed to be right here. When you put on the Seaway hitch, you grind this bolt off, and there's another one that does this too, not just Seaway. You grind this bolt off, and then they give you a bolt to replace it with a nut. Well, that just made it really hard to try to explain. So what you're gonna see here is I took this whole side back off so I could shoot it with you. So there's a little bit of smoke and mirrors here. There's a bolt here that's not actually hooked up to anything, but I wanted to show you how to install this for most people. Most people I don't think have a Seaway hitch. You can watch my other video about that. Wouldn't recommend. But, so I thought I would reshoot this. I actually had it all together, took it all back apart and put the OEM stuff back on so I could reshoot it because it just looked like it was really, really hard, and it is really, really not. So here we go. I just wanted you to know that this is not my normal type of video. This one I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm not figuring it out. I've already figured it out. So, okay. All that is a way to say, I have an excuse, damn it. So let's get on to putting this back on. Okay, one advantage of doing it this way is I can tell you exactly what you're going to need. You're going to need a screwdriver. You don't need this big ass screwdriver, but you need a flathead screwdriver. You need a 12mm socket, a 12mm wrench. I strongly recommend a ratcheting wrench. They just make life so much easier. You're going to need a 6mm hex head and a 5mm hex head. So you need both of those. You're going to need some thread lock, and you'll need some silicone grease. You don't need this, but man, do I recommend it. And then these are the parts you're going to get. You're going to get the piece that attaches to the motorcycle. That's the replacement for your bracket. And this is the actual tip over bar. That comes with these 3 bolts, which attach this guy to here. Those are easy to install. And it comes with these 2 bolts that attach to the bike. So that's all there is to it, is these 3 bolts, which are immaterial. It's these 2 bolts you're putting on. You'll notice all of these have dried thread lock on them because I pulled them back out so I could show you. This one does not because that's the fake bolt. I don't use that bolt because I have a hitch that I ground off. So that's it, that's all you need. Screwdriver, 12 millimeter, 5, 6, thread lock, and those are the bolts and those two pieces. This takes literally 10 minutes. If you're not filming this, you could do this in 10 minutes. So let's come over here and I'll show you how to take all this apart. Okay, so this is the part you're going to be replacing. If you've not taken this off before, it's held in by 4 rubber tabs and 1 screw. So there are a tab here, a tab here, a tab here, and a tab here. So all we have to do is pop all that off and slide this thing forward and pull it out. So to start with, I learned the hard way that this side gets scratched up by the kickstand. So while I did not list the blue tape as a supply you may want this. It helps protect what's left of my black paint from me, basically, being an idiot. So I'm just going to slap some tape on there. So step 1 is remove this guy. This is pretty straightforward. It's held in by one of these body panel clips. We will not be putting this back on when we are done. So this, you just pop the lid out, pull that out. You don't have to pull those out, by the way, I just do. And then you pull this guy out of the hole, and just like that, it's off. So that's it for this piece. We won't be putting that back on. Step 2, we have to remove this guy right here, the top one of the 2 little pretty hexes. These are chrome for whatever reason. I'm assuming they're actually stainless because they're down here where the water hits. Now, believe it or not, this piece is free to come off. The only thing that holds this on is this nut, or this hex head right here. This hex head holds the back piece on. So what we want to do is grab this and slide it forward, and then you can just kind of work it out of the hole. I managed to tape it to the piece there. All right. Now we need our 12 millimeter socket, and I'm going to pull this one out first because it's not real. This is the one that I replaced when I put on the Seaway hitch. So I'm going to pull it out, put it in here. We won't be using that again. And then lastly, I pull this one out. We won't be using that again. Now yours will fall out at this point, mine does not, because the hitch is holding it in. So I got to pull it out. That's it, we won't be using that. So this is all out now. The way this works is this tab goes in front of this bolt hole. This tab goes behind this bolt hole. When you run your bolt through, this rear one is threaded, and you're going to be screwing into that. This one goes through here and bolts into this receiver right there. That's actually threaded. So that's all you have to do is put this in there and bolt it up. Now I have to do a little bit of finagling because it's hard to get this in with that Seaway hitch. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in. It goes in just like this. I'm gonna put mine in place like it would go if it was on your bike. Now we have our bracket in place. You're gonna have to hold yours in place. The Seaway hitch, the only thing it does for me is holds this in place, which makes this demo a little bit easier. We're going to grab a little bit of thread lock, put it on there. So we're gonna grab this guy, put it in the hole. We're gonna leave that a little bit loose so we can line everything up. We'll grab our other one, same thing. A little bit of thread lock. You'll notice this bolt is a little bit longer. I need a longer bolt. Now the cleanest way to do this side is to put your washer slightly forward so you go underneath of this plastic piece with the washer. And then you just put this in here, just like the other side. Grab your 6 mil, run that one in, run this one in, They say 15 pounds of torque. That's just tight. It's not crazy tight. They recommend a break-in run, which unfortunately I already did. I'll have to do it again, of 20 miles, and then taking it apart and checking that everything is still tight. It's a good recommendation. Okay, now for what is probably the hardest part of the whole job. This guy is held on by these 4 rubber tabs. There's 2 in the front, 1 down here, oops, 1 up here, 1 down here, 2 in the back, 1 here, 1 here. And you have to line all 4 of those up to slide this back into position. This is where your silicone grease comes in. Those things take a lot of abuse, being this close to the road and the exhaust, they get hot. Use silicone grease, regular grease. These are black rubber, and regular grease will dissolve these over time, which you do not want. And this last one right here. If they fall off, you just slide them back on. Okay. There's no pretty way to do this. You just got to fight with it to get it in there. All right. So this piece has to be back here. There's the hole here where you actually took that screw out of that has to line back up. And man, if anybody has a secret for this, you let me know, because I hate this process. There we go. All right, just like that, it's magically back in place. That is the worst part of the whole process. Every time I have to take this guard off, which has not been frequently, just a few different projects, that is the worst part of the whole process right there. That design needs some serious improvement. All right. Now all that's left to do is to mount the actual bar. This part's also very easy. It's 3 12-millimeter bolts. The only thing I find that's a bit of a pain in the butt with it is that you can't use your ratchet. You can't get a ratchet in there. So you need your 12 millimeter wrench. Again, I strongly recommend a ratcheting wrench for this. You need some thread lock. So we're going to tighten up the center one so we can rock it, but we want it to be fairly where it goes. Put drop thread lock on there. Find the hole it goes in, which these are machined really well. They line up really cleanly right there. Tighten that down. And then last one, thread lock it, put it in the hole back here. All right, that's it. That bad boy is on. That is all there is to that. And that is why I felt like I had to reshoot this. Because I made it look so hard with the other video because I was fighting with all the Seaway stuff. All right, we just got a couple of things to check out. Now I got to take that blue tape off and I'm done. But I got a couple of things I want to show you here. So the real question on everybody's mind is, do these actually protect the saddlebags? I have looked down the side of these and I think the answer is kinda. So let's check it out. Now if you haven't seen my how to set your bike down video, I think we're in the right spot. I'll find out in a minute. We're gonna do this in a safe manner by coming up off our side stand, putting it up, and we're just gonna go straight down here. Hopefully we catch this on video. Right now we are sitting on the crash bar, and that saddlebag is way off the ground. So in a normal impact, which is you dropping it in the parking lot or you at a low speed, it's fine. I already know the answer to this one, I think. But let's find out. We are now on the side. Let's take a look. Nope, that saddlebag is on the ground. Let's get that off the saddlebag, shall we? So the answer is no. If you drop this completely on its side, this saddlebag will hit the ground. But I can tell you that, man, this thing is a hell of a lot harder to turn from this position to the ground than it was before. Our pivot point used to be back here and lower to the ground. Now it's up here, so it's further back. So I think that's why, man, this thing was way harder to get to tip over than it used to be. So the answer is no. They do not protect this part of your saddlebag, but in a normal drop, even on a highway, I would think, like a low side, like you always see the Harley guys do in videos, this would be protected. I do wish it protected the side of the saddlebag though. But I'm still very happy with it. That's way better than it used to do with the stock tip over bars protection back here. They were pretty close to the bottom of the saddlebag. So this definitely raises you off the ground more. And man, I'm here to tell you, that was hard to tip over. I got to figure out a technique for that. So before I wrap all this up, there's a couple of things I want to talk about real quick. I want to make sure you know that if you're worried with these guards, the footboard is still usable, passenger foot still goes here. I don't think my wife puts her foot this far back. If you have a back seat passenger that's with a larger foot, this might impede you. I don't think it's going to be an issue, really. Saddlebag still works just fine. Open the saddlebag, you can get in there. There's a gap here. That's just fine. Now, the problem you're going to have is this guy right here on both sides. You can't get into this while this guard is in place. The way this lifts out, you have to pull this back end up, and you just can't do that with this bar in place. So if you need to get in here on the other side, for charging or for changing fuses, you're going to need to have a 12 millimeter wrench with you to get this off and get in here and change fuses. Or, you know, if you're a person who has to get your pigtail out of here for your trickle charger, battery maintainer, I'm sorry, old school trickle charger. So if you need to get in there every day, this is not going to be a good solution for you. Initially, that was a concern for me, but the more I think about it, I don't ever get in here. My charger wire is on the other side. I actually have it wired into, I can use my wife's heated gear cable. I can use my wife's heated gear cable to charge the bike, which is what I normally do. I plug it in on the other side. You've probably seen it in a video. So I don't think it's a big deal. I hardly ever get in here unless I'm working on electrical, and then, you know, I don't care if I have to take this off. It does mean I will carry a 12 millimeter with me for fuses. So I'm going to go find a cheap 12, probably a ratcheting 12, so I can pop these off on the roadside if I had a blown fuse while I was out. When I'm out traveling, I take the trailer anyway, and I've got tools in there. Maybe someday I'll do a video on all the tools I carry with me. It's just practical tools. Anyway, overall, I think the Panicle set is high price. I think this one comes in about where I expect. You know, $240 for the crash bar, $210 for this back bar. So for $450, which is less than the Panicle crash guards, I get a crash guard up there and one back here. And honestly, if you just want the front crash guard for your engine, you can just buy the front one for $240, plus shipping. I think T-Rex has a serious marketing problem. These are burly, made in America, high quality products, and I had never heard of them. It wasn't some random stranger commenting in a YouTube thread. I would not have known these existed. T-Rex needs to get the word about these. They need to get on GL 1800, a couple of Facebook groups. They need to let people know these damn things exist. This should be the default for us on Goldwings, honestly. And I don't get paid. I'm not commissioned. I'm not sponsored. They didn't send me these. I'm just a guy in a garage who buys my gear. So I paid full freight for these and had them shipped to me. They have no idea I'm making this video. Yeah, I think T-Rex is a marketing problem. I love these bars. I'm excited because now I get to go out and ride cones. So anyway, keep your wheels down, have a great ride, and we'll see you next time.